Now, a recent anti-Semitic graffiti sprayed on a children's play area in Rochester has caused outrage among the Jewish community. Medway Council have since removed the Nazi swastika and the racist remarks from Jackson's playing fields in Rochester, but the attacks come fresh off Holocaust Memorial Day on Saturday. Well, I'm now joined by Dalia Halpern Matthews from the Chatham Memorial Synagogue, so thank you for coming in. It's not the first time that these sorts of attacks have happened, not just in Medway but more generally. What's the response from the Jewish community like to this?
Well, clearly it's something that upsets us all. I think it's important to understand that it isn't necessarily just the Jewish community, it is other ethnic minorities that are also being targeted. But clearly, particularly so close to Holocaust Memorial Day, it's something that none of us want to think is still around, that kind of feeling.
And obviously, Holocaust Memorial Day, there were some events around that you took part in. What was the response like from that?
Really amazing, and from the King's service at the cathedral through to the fantastic interfaith service that happened on Friday evening at the synagogue itself, which was attended by well over 100 people. I think there were 6 different schools that took part. There were people from many different faith groups, and that was a very powerful, very moving event.
And what do you think needs to be done to potentially prevent these sorts of attacks?
It's difficult to know. It really depends on whether this is a group of children, teenagers, whoever, who think it's funny, in which case there's a lot that can be done in terms of educating them, or whether this is actually a targeted attack and whether there is something more sinister behind it.
And in terms of what potentially a trend is, are you seeing more of these types of incidents, or has it always been fairly constant?
I do think that actually it has been worse since the Brexit vote. I think that the number of incidents that we've seen certainly has increased over that period of time, and I believe on other ethnic groups as well, not just on the Jewish community, but we've certainly had graffiti actually on the synagogue itself. We've had human excrement left on our steps. Members of our community who've been threatened. It's not pleasant.
And what's being done about it at the moment, do you think?
Well, Kent Police have got a fantastic community liaison department, and they are being very, very good. We do now have CCTV at the synagogue, which we've never had to have in the past. So I guess that's a sign of the times. So, you know, I don't think it's something that's being ignored. It's a question of finding out who is doing this now, and whether it is just a really nasty prank or whether there is something, as I say, more sinister behind it.
Absolutely. Well, thanks ever so much for coming in.
You're welcome.